every year there's a big trade. Usually it happens during the draft. And I'm talking about the NFL draft. Last year it was the 49ers making a huge move up the draft board with the Dolphins to go wind up as the third overall team in the draft because they liked a kid that was most likely not named Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson because that's who everybody thought the Jaguars and Jets were going to take. And so when you see a big move, when somebody uses first round capital from the next year's draft to trade up into a draft that is yet to take place weeks in advance, those mean one or two things. One, they've already moved into a spot to get a quarterback, or two, they are amassing enough capital to go get a quarterback. So when the Saints made the move yesterday to use draft capital in next year's draft and flip a 1 and also a 2 in future draft capital and flip it to the Eagles, a first rounder next year, a 2 in 2024, and then a 3rd and a 7 this year too, just to go get the 16th overall pick in the draft and a 6th round pick this year. You're like, what are the Saints doing? What are they doing? That's a lot of draft capital this year, next, and the year after to go get into this year's draft. And the only answer for this, I could think, is they're going to use these 2 picks to get up into the higher part of the first round to go get a quarterback. Otherwise, it kind of really doesn't make any sense. I know it's a very deep draft. It's a very deep draft in the first round at pass rushers, wide receivers, defenders on the back end, if you're in the top 10 that you like a lot.
Right.
Or a couple of offensive linemen at the top of the draft. Yep. But you don't use draft capital like a 1 next year and a 2 years from now to get in the first round this year and get a lineman. That doesn't happen. You go get the quarterback you want. Now, part of it may be you're sitting there at 16, you feel Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or our next hour guest, Matt Corral, could drop there. And it's a much better shot for you to get there at 16 than 19. That doesn't make sense either because you could just use a lot less draft capital from 19 to go get that guy if he falls. Why go and hop into the middle of this first round? Why do that? If you're not going to trade those 2 together and go get the quarterback you want and have the firepower to move up, because you're not going to be able, I guess you could use a 1 next year and a 2 after that with your 1 this year to get up there. That's possible too. It's a bit of a head scratcher, not going to lie. But the question is who would it be and where would they wind up? Let's just say it's Pickett. Why not? Because you, Chris Brockman, told T.J. Jefferson back in like January, right?
Yeah, months
right
ago.
around the first of the year, turning.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett's going to be a top 5 pick, and even though he's Mr. Keystone State, Mr. Pittsburgh, Mr. East Coast, even though he's from the center of the state.
Oh, I watch him.
Okay, all right. he even said, I'll take that action from you. Kenny Pickett's not going to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
I just like money, Rich.
Now, let's just say, where would the Saints go move up to? Well, you look at the draft order, and you see the Carolina Panthers sitting there at 6. And they don't have a draft choice in this year's draft currently. After that first round draft, 6th overall pick. Their next one after that, it's a Lulu. Smoke him if you got him. We'll see you Saturday, 4th round pick. So they could go get a pass protector, sure. But if they like one of these quarterbacks, fall in love with one of these quarterbacks, could be a kid from Liberty, whose head coach Hugh Freeze will be joining us on tomorrow's program. Could be that kid, because you're not trading back into this year's first round, most likely. So maybe it's Pickett. Where do you go? I'm hearing Giants want to trade out of the 5th overall selection. They'd be interested in doing that because they already have one at 7. With those 2 first-round selections that they now have for the Saints and a little bit more, maybe go right up there to 5 and take Kenny Pickett and have Brockman win his wager after all of this?
That'd be so damn spicy.
It's entirely possible.
I mean, why would they do that?
I don't know. Why would they make this trade yesterday?
Capital.
Lots of moving parts, to say the least. We'll talk about it next hour with Joe Banner. But lots of moving parts. And then the Eagles. What are the Eagles up to? Well, they already had 3, right? They already had 3 first-round picks. So this is kind of no skin off their nose. They still have the 15th overall selection, and they still have the 18th overall selection, which they got, by the way, from the Saints.
Right.
And so put it all together, they still have 2 first-round draft choices in this year's draft. Now they've got 2 next year. So once again, Jalen Hurts will have to take the field in Philadelphia. Second straight year where the Eagles are like, job's yours, kid. Let's see what you got. But hanging over it is the ultimate edge of first-round selections, multiple,
Next year.
in the next year's draft. For them to put together and go get the kid they want. Unless, of course, there's a team sitting at the very top who loves the same kid and has earned that spot to sit at the very top because it was a very long 2022. And it doesn't matter how much Howie Roseman's putting together. He could put together the Godfather offer, I guess, and part of that would be these choices. And I'm sure the Saints are hoping that the choice they just coughed up in next year's draft isn't all that good. But for the second straight year, Jalen Hurts is going to have to operate. Last year, he operated under the fact that they had potentially 3 first-rounders. And Deshaun Watson was sitting out there, and they could use all those first-rounders to go get Watson if he became clear to be acquired. That's now out of the way. But for the second straight year, Jalen Hurts, it's like, go ahead, kid. And if it works out with you, guess what? We can supplement this team with first-round selections, which, by the way, they're going to do this year. With a team that made the playoffs thanks to Jalen Hurts, on whom I'm still betting.
What about Jameis?
Well, what about Jameis? Is Jameis, whoever you're going to get, Pickett or Willis, Jameis can have the kid sit there and learn.
Yeah, I mean,
You're not starting him out. Jameis is there to start.
Right.
Kid is going to be there to learn and marinate. But in Philadelphia, I'll bet on Hurts. I'll take him. They made the playoffs.
Also, he doesn't have to worry about them taking a QB this year, so he knows.
That's right. So
the whole
we'll see.
year.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.